for life. You already know what it is. Nick P. Gemstones. Yeah.
They lying, you hear it, you feel it, know you being used. They feed and repeat it, proceeded to make an excuse. They attacking the facts, you relaxing and hitting the snooze. The fact is you lacking the action to stand for the truth. They killing our babies and buildings and calling it health. They stealing and call it the redistribution of wealth. Our women subjected to standards that's pictured in porn. And men can't be men because the gender rules being reformed. So be informed, don't be deceived. Christ intercedes, what you receive will be achieved by your belief. Yes, Jesus saves, is he not good enough to be obeyed? See, we depraved, so we decay because of our wicked ways. Saying always be causing division. He wants us divided, devoid of all critical thinking. The gospel, we water it down because the churches are scared of losing our members, so now ain't nobody prepared.
We're in the last days and the sun is on the way, so I pray everybody's gonna wake up. There's no time to wait if you're living in me, say that today everybody's gonna wake up. And you've been asleep for too long, the cap stays still, we too strong. Wake up, that's why I'm gonna fight for you. Wake up, and it's about time that you wake up. We're living in the time of the kids decide their genders, but even the seasons are confused, cold summers and hot winters. It's all about our Facebook likes and views from these young hot tenders. Break rules and live life as you choose, hear God, but don't surrender. When you die, remember, every member that say Lord, 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 enter. Never knew you depart from me, you worker of the agenda. Defend us, Lord, the serpent won't cease till he end us. The life we lead while on this earth determines where we end up. And then what? We didn't just slip and hit the floor, we been stuck. We spin bucks and let these iPhones entrap us with the sin lust. And then blush as if everything is apples, but the sense must. It's injustice. If a white judge may get scaffold, we do 10 plus. Fact that you didn't know the Catholic Church ran everything, and they knew every secret from the building of the pyramid to knowledge you could never gain. The government control the weather change. Artificial rain falling on you, it's the devil's game. But the Elohim is God, Jesus Christ, the ever yellow thing, cause it's forever rain. We're in the last days and the sun is on the way, so I pray everybody's gonna wake up. There's no time to wait if you're living in me, saying that today everybody's gonna wake up. You've been asleep for too long, the cap stays still, be too strong. Wake up, that's why I'm gonna fight for you. Wake up, and it's about time that you wake up.
They poison through politics, party, and greed. They numb us with liquor, prescriptions of pills and the weed. We jaded from taking it all on the chin and acceptance. No penance, rejecting the methods, producing repentance. But they taking us for a ride. It's really all a disguise to push us to compromise. And they pushing agenda to choose from hundreds of genders. They confusing the youth. Got little boys wanting boobs, and we buy it, we bought it, we ate it, we swallowed it whole. We starving like Marvin, deprived of the fruit for our soul. We need the gospel, disciples and apostles. The truth is in the danger zone that keeps getting more hostile. And they try to tell you that the scripture's a fictional tale. They take the Bible at the school, but you find it in jail. The world is just burning, but we got more people to reach. Let's get the sound in the alarm.
We're in the last days and the sun is on the way, so I pray everybody's gonna wake up. There's no time to wait if you're living in me, saying that today everybody's gonna wake up. You've been asleep for too long, the cap stays still, be too strong. Wake up, that's why I'm gonna fight for you. Wake up, and it's about time that you wake up.
What's up, everybody? Wake up, wake up, wake up. Can y'all hear me? What's going on?
Yeah. What's good? What's good?
Not everybody talk at once.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
What's going on, Wade?
We're all just blown away by that
Really?
hot joint you dropped.
That's my guy, Nick P. Nick P. He's actually out of Glen Burnie or Anne Arundel County.
That's
Y'all
right
know-
by me.
Yeah, he's a Bryson Gray type dude,
Yes.
local. Oh, that's what's
nice.
up. So, welcome to the night show, guys. We got a jam-packed show. We got a special guest with us tonight, Mr. Patrick Henderson. We were backstage, and he was telling us how progressive he was. So, this should be very interesting. So, real quick, I want Patrick, if you could, introduce yourself.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Patrick Henderson, and I am the moderator of Patrick Henderson's Meet the People on WOLB 1010 Baltimore every Monday at 11:30 and every Sunday at 3:30 on Spirit 1400 on the Radio 1 network system. And I was invited here. I was trying to find out what the topic was, so I think I might be walking into a beehive. But
Yeah, man.
I am protected.
There are no
God I
topics.
love.
He done walked over and hit the hornet's nest, and we'll see.
Yep. So yeah, we just gonna get it. We're gonna
I don't want to get you in
fun.
trouble with Kathy Hughes because I got a couple of choice words about her taking payment from the Democratic Party. But go ahead.
Really?
Right on, man. Right on. Tyrone, how are you doing today, man?
Doing good. I'm doing good. How you guys?
Man, excellent.
I'm good, Tyrone.
Excellent. Awesome. So look, do people need to wake up? I think there's a question here. Do faith-based institutions and people of faith need to wake up?
They think that they're waking. Sorry, I'll go on for forever if I answer this.
All right, go ahead, Terry.
I do think that, yes, there's a role for it. And when you have people like Beto O'Rourke out there, who, he said just a couple of years ago when he was running for president, he said, hey, we're going to strip churches of their tax-exempt status if they don't officiate certain kinds of marriages or if they don't do or provide certain kinds of services. That opens the door to having a state, having the churches run by state government, run by, whatever, government entity. That's going to be a major concern for me, but that will also stifle the ability of private organizations, particularly nonprofits, Catholic charities, for example, to do good work in the communities. So the only solution is for more religious organizations to start getting active and advocating for themselves, playing a more active role in their communities. What I don't like is that you have a church on every corner. Every goddamn pastor has a doctorate all of a sudden, and none of them are healing the fucking community. I'm just saying, guys. I'm sorry, I didn't have to.
You went right to it.
Again, this is the thing I would say.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Patrick, please.
Well, I just find it incredulous that you would say that. Do you understand what separation of church and state means, sir?
Mm-hmm.
There is no separation.
They're supposed to be, according to the Constitution. There is.
No.
Where is it written in the Constitution?
There's nothing in the Constitution that says that. That it's just a concept we have and the way they did things that we take from it. But again,
so let Patrick finish.
There's no separation of church and state, sir. Is that what you're saying to me?
No. Well, you said it was in the Constitution. We asked where in the Constitution it was.
Right. And Patrick, I'm gonna definitely let you finish, but that's a common misconception. The phrase separation, or the concept separation of church and state, actually was included in what's called the Letter to the Danbury Baptists from Thomas Jefferson. They were just talking about various concepts with regard to how a government may be structured, but that is not in the Constitution. The closest thing to that is First Amendment, where you have freedom from religion.
Right.
Okay, but there is no codification of a separation of church and state. That is not in the Constitution.
But did not the founding fathers, after coming out of or watching Europe and how religion had destroyed the people, how the Crusades and all that stuff killed millions of people, and so they wanted nothing to do with it in America? I
would argue against that, and I don't want to monopolize here, but I would argue against that because, and it is funny we're talking about this because today the Church of England came out and said that they can't definitively state what a woman is, just parenthetically. But Patrick, remember, King James founded the Church of England when he wanted to break away from the Catholic Church because they would not dissolve or they continued to recognize his marriages and didn't want to give him a divorce.
Right.
So that was essentially a state-sponsored religion over in England when King James established it. That's why you have the additional books in the Catholic version of the Bible. King James went in and took books that were contrary to his way of life out, and hence the King James version.
Right.
But that I would argue that no, they were very focused on a society that was founded in Judeo-Christian values.
Well, I've been to Scandinavia and Europe, and all their churches are empty. Westminster Cathedral, they only go there for funerals and weddings. There are no people there. They don't go on Sundays. They don't believe in it. They don't practice it in any way. So they're just monuments.
But
they have
what's
nothing.
that got to do with America and the Constitution?
Hold on,
I'm
wait.
getting to the Supreme Court and this abortion thing that they're doing and all this religion they're bringing into.
Yeah, we don't want to let's keep it on where we were.
I think what you were referring, sir, Mr. Henderson, I think what you're referring to was the Establishment Clause, which is inside of the First Amendment, that the government should make no laws in respect to religion. What I am saying is that private organizations, these churches that have their own nonprofit status, should be going out into the community. They should, for example, on Groveland Avenue in Northwest Baltimore, you have St. Timothy's Baptist Church. You also have First Christian Community Baptist. They go into the community. They're building community centers. They're building private school and community center as well. We should have more organizations like that. Now, if you have a nonprofit / church, because most churches have nonprofit status, that also provides advocacy. For example, Georgetown University, they're a religious school, they're a Jesuit school, okay? They have tons of lawyers who go out and advocate on laws on their behalf. Then they also successfully have many lawyers that graduate out of their school that go on and provide the same advocacy as well. We should have more of that.
So I will say this too. It seems like the separation of church and state only comes up when it's like convenient for certain people. For example, Bishop Leah Daltrey she's a bishop out of New York, and she also was the chairman or something of the DNC. She presided over the DNC, and she's done it twice and everything like that. And she says, if you listen to any of her preaching, teaching, or whatever she does, she'll say the church needs to be the lead on all the movements. She'll say that. But then when you hear someone like Lauren Boebert, who's a Republican, say, well, there's no separation of church and state. Oh, now there's a big issue. So why is it that when it's certain people that say, there's no separation of church and state, that it's okay, and other people say it's no separation of church and state, that it's an issue?
And Raphael Warnock, he gets up in the pulpit and does the same sort of thing every time.
But here, I want to start back from the beginning of this conversation. Even if we give Patrick that there's separation, that you have this argument that there's supposed to be separation of church and state, our founding fathers were very clear that Judeo-Christian moral values have to govern how we make our laws. Like they weren't shy about saying that even if the church isn't supposed to interfere in how the laws are made or what laws are made, the people making the laws should have a morality based around the church's beliefs. So that in and of itself would be why the government shouldn't be penalizing churches. There shouldn't be a war about religion, especially about Christianity in this country, because it undermines because for all the complaints that everybody has about our founding and whatever history has gone on in this country, we're all sitting here having the ability to do that. If you try to have a conversation like this in England on the airwaves, you run the risk of being censored. I mean,
we still
talk about Europe and all these other places, but the truth is those examples of countries you gave are EU, very hyper-westernized countries. Go to Hungary, go to Lithuania, go to countries that aren't in the EU in those groups. Go to a place like Belarus. The former Soviet republics that had almost no religion in it existing for 80 years now have a rebirth of orthodoxy and Christianity. It's just a matter of that you have to accept that the people who make the rules now don't care about the moral compass that they used to make them. They only care about what benefits them to either get votes, maintain power, greed, the basic things that we all are again, like that we all complain about. But
so did anybody catch the show tonight? Who caught the show? Oh man. So this was kind of brought up in one of the topics tonight on the it was a replay. But that Pastor Greg Locke, he essentially said, like, you can't be Christian and you vote Democrat.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is so hilarious, but it's not hilarious if it wouldn't be so sad.
I happen to disagree with that. I think that you could be if that you have a lot of people who are legacy of whatever party, and they might subscribe to democratic beliefs. There are liberal justifications to the Bible. There's also conservative interpretations of the Bible, and people, they will follow whatever way their heart or their mind desires.
So you think he was wrong in what he said?
Of course.
I do. I understand why he said it. I understand
Why
that.
Why did he say it, sir? I don't understand why he said it.
So what he was saying was, I think he was actually talking in respect to the was he talking in respect to the abortion, and then he was also talking in respect to gay
That's
marriages.
always they fall back on, but then they cut food stamps, and then they vote against giving infamil to babies, and they lock babies in cages. So I'm waiting. What?
Wait. So you say they lock babies in cages, but so do Democrats.
Hold on.
No,
Question,
they don't. That's
question
a
for
damn
you.
lie.
Question for you.
That's
Question.
a lie.
What do you mean? Those are the policies you're talking about were first started under Obama and
Wait.
The cages were built by Obama. He never put any children in them.
Oh,
wait.
They
never
were
did.
responding
Please,
children
Never did.
Mr. Henderson.
All right, one mic, guys.
Mr.
One mic, guys. Who?
Mr. Henderson. Okay, so if we want to go technical to that, right?
Yes.
Let's go back to 1986, actually 1985, when then Senator from Delaware, Joseph R. Biden Jr., was saying, hey, I'm going to run for, or I'm going to jockey with Senator Tom Kennedy ahead of the 1988 presidential primary. He was jockeying for the judiciary chairmanship, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They were having a biggest BICK match of who can be tougher on crime, competing against none other than Strom Thurmond, yes, the same racist Strom Thurmond, who admittedly left the Democrats and went over to the Republicans.
Right.
They led this whole crime policy with the anti-drug sentencing act of the 1986. He got the chairmanship, okay?
Right.
That started the impetus of the drug disparities and everything else, which eventually led to increased incarceration. He also started taking away money.
You're talking about 3 strikes, you're out, right?
Yeah, well, no, that came with I believe
Okay.
that started to come with the 94 crime bill and incentivizing states to also start doing more
Eric,
in that.
for our viewers that aren't PhD holding Juris Doctorates, can we get the for 80? I consider myself intelligent, and you lost me an hour.
Okay, what I'm trying to say in this is that this is a man who started the incarceration, locking up children, okay, putting them in jail for just simple disparities in whatever drug that was either planted on them by government, or yes, they genuinely had. Meanwhile, his son would go on to, whatever.
Republicans and Democrats both lock people up, and that people don't like who's being locked up.
As we started to incentivize more private prisons,
under every administration.
As we started to incentivize more private prisons, Bill Clinton got in on it and put that thing full throttle in response.
I don't disagree that the 94 crime bill is a big issue. And again, that's not the point. I think, first of all, just that I don't think that that's the point of all this. I think we have to stop doing this. This is the problem. We have Patrick here who has his that don't necessarily align with us, the belief system. But that doesn't matter. In the end, we have to find common ground. We have to understand that number one, the crime bill in 94 is awful. America has terrible history where they were terrible to minorities, whether it be African American minorities or minorities from European nations at any given time. But here we are right now. We have to stop blaming, right? Here's a moment where this is always what I'm trying to say is we have a moment here where both sides are sitting at the table voluntarily, and instead of saying this Republican or this Democrat or these administration, these policies, let's talk about actual solutions. Like, yes, a lot of things are screwed up in this country, so let's try and fix them.
But may I say right here, I agree with you, sir.
But it's the church is one of the things in this country that's screwed up.
By a Biden Democrat. I think it was the biggest mistake when he ended up being the candidate. And I fault James Clyburn for that. Because I studied Biden's history. Biden was almost really, he was only a Democrat. He was what do they call it? A Dino, a Democrat in name only, as far as I was concerned.
He's a dino.
So what makes him a Democrat in name only? Because he's
he's
allegiance to the
consistent.
party.
He's pretty consistent.
But go look at his track record.
He's pretty consistent with Democrat policies.
Yeah.
No, man. No, he wasn't.
What are the Democrat policies?
He was against busing. He was against busing, for one. That was a main.
He had a lot of racist policies, but the Democrat platform back then were those racist policies.
That's right.
Very much go with his side. It's not like he stood out like he was a trailblazer, that he tried to.
Right.
Wasn't the AOC of his generation of people. I mean, I just want to understand that we're all on the same page in this discussion. Like, name me 3 policies that Joe Biden is a Democrat in name only, is a dino on. Like, what should his policies be and what is he? So, like, for example, Larry Hogan.
Let the question stand, Gippy. Let the question stand.
Well, see, I wish I'd been a bit more prepared for this. The busing was one. Another one, he really gave more money to HBCUs than Obama did. So I can't use that one. I'd have to dig a little bit more, go back and read up on it. This is old hat. But like I said, I didn't want to vote for him. I just voted for him because the idea of another Republican and all is repulsive. So
could you have written in a candidate?
I would have, and I would have written in either Bernie Sanders or what's her name?
Elizabeth Warren.
Yep.
Well, can I first say,
why are they your candidates? What do they offer you, Patrick Henderson, as the American voter, for your systems that you need? You know, what is it that those 2 candidates are saying they're going to change or do that makes them the person you'd pick over the current leader of your party?
Well, for one, with Elizabeth Warren, that speech she made about corporate America was so true. Sure, they've been successful, but we paid the taxes for the police. We paid for those roads to be paved. The American people should have parity, should not be taxed more than those corporations are. That was one for her. And people call it socialism, but I spent a lot of time in Scandinavia, and democratic socialism, they're the happiest people on the face of the earth because of democratic socialism. So yes, that's the reason. Democratic socialism is what I think is America is going to have to come to if it is to survive. I don't think it's going to survive. Capitalism is going to choke it because as we can see, it's the more people have, the less those that don't have suffer.
Tyrone, I want you to jump in here, man, because you're a business owner. You're I would say probably a true capitalist.
Yeah.
You know, you've been running your business for a while, you and your wife, and you deal with money.
Things on the wall behind him that we established make him smart. And
you deal with money on a regular basis. So, what would your response be back to Patrick in that?
Well, Patrick, as far as whenever someone talks about taxing, increasing taxes on corporations, because I can assure you, corporations pay taxes. You can actually look at any public company's balance sheet, which is public knowledge. Just go on their website, any one of them, publicly traded company, and you'll see that. But understand, and I think this is just common sense, anytime a company incurs a cost, they're going to pass that cost on to the consumer.
Right.
Okay. So a tax increase on a corporation might feel good initially, stick it to the man. But at the end of the day, that will roll downhill to the consumer.
It
Okay,
hasn't stopped them. It hasn't stopped them. They're doing it already. They've been doing it.
well, wait a minute. Now, companies don't impose taxes on themselves. There is
No.
one party, and there's one party of the two-party system. One of those, both of them have their issues, but one is very fond of tax increases. Never seen a tax they did not like. So let's just be fair about it and say that in terms of raising taxes on corporations and the rich, it's funny because the rich came down to like people who made $250,000 when Obama was president.
Now
And
400,000.
yeah, so I mean, when I think of rich people, I think of, I
Yeah,
think of Oprah, but I
she's
don't
a
think of people
billionaire.
making 400 grand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
400
right.
You ain't rich.
So
Man,
wait.
try living in New York with 400 grand.
That's pocket change. You're not getting anywhere. But at this moment, I just want to interrupt the broadcast and do shameless promoting since we're talking finance. This week's Tuttle Twins book is Messed Up Market. Just everybody check out the link that we have in the bio. Do the Tuttle Twins. Got to always get that out of the way. Got to pay the bills around here.
Yep. And this is just the guys, right? This is just the guys, the Poppin' Politics after show. And we have special guest Patrick Henderson on with us tonight, who's a world famous radio host right here in Baltimore and
We get to hang out with
WOLB 1010.
famous people, scholars,
as well as the rest of us.
Political candidates. I'm just saying, even though he doesn't know it himself, he is running for mayor of Baltimore. And everyone, if his name isn't on your ballot, just write it in.
Man, you can't say that stuff out loud, man.
No.
Yes, I can. And I will.
Who's running for mayor? Who?
We want. It's the thing I have with Giovanni. He's the answer to all of Baltimore's problems. Because he wants to give the power back to the people of Baltimore so that we can fix the city.
Yeah.
So Patrick, are you a
to write his name in on the ballot? That's the thing.
So Patrick, are you a Bible believer?
No.
Okay.
No.
So no wonder you don't.
Not to the degree that you probably are. I'm more of a spiritual person. I grew up in a fundamentalist church. My father was Pentecostal. So I grew up with a lot of rules and bullshit that I found to be totally irrelevant, unprovable, and detestable.
So are you more agnostic at this point?
No, man, I do believe in God. I do believe in God, but I don't believe in the God of religion. I believe in the God of the Spirit. The Bible says that God is a spirit, and they that worship must worship in spirit and in truth.
So you're a Bible believer?
I'm a firm believer, but I don't believe in dogma.
Can I ask you, when you say unprovable, isn't that the whole point of faith, is that you can't ever prove it? You have to take it on faith. I mean, whenever I hear somebody say that, like their beef with religion is that parts of it are unprovable, it's like, yeah, of course it's supposed to be. The idea is that you're supposed to be willingly and openly, willing to take the step and say, just because I can't prove it doesn't mean I don't believe it. I believe it because I'm supposed to believe it because it's what God told me to believe.
Well, I don't. If I can't prove it, if it's not provable, if I know, like I heard that gentleman in that rap that you did talking about hell. Well, we know when the concept of hell first came through with Dante's Inferno. So that whole thing about
video
hell
game?
was a crock.
No, he means the book, buddy.
What? I didn't hear what he said.
He said the video game.
No, I didn't say the video game. I'm talking about the guy he played in the theme song for his show.
I'm joking. All right. But yeah, we started talking about, the Bible as far as can you vote? Can you be Christian and be Democrat? So your answer is yes. You can be Christian and be Democrat.
You certainly can't be a Republican and vote for Jesus. You just simply can't. It's oil and water.
I don't think so.
Why do you say that? What is oil and water about Republican beliefs and Jesus's behavior? I'm guessing that's what you're saying it's based on.
First of all, they're racists. To start, they believe that they're being replaced by people of color. That's
But
the
wait,
one.
you're in the room with 3 black Republicans. How can you say
Uh,
that with a straight face?
Yeah,
Like
because
these
I don't
3
understand.
men
Why
make
I
up
can't
Hold on, hold on.
understand.
the
Because
Republican.
I
Let's
can't
pause right
understand
there.
how
Let's pause right
I
there.
cannot understand how you
I want,
guys can call yourselves Republicans.
I
That's
want
the
Terry
first
to
one.
jump in right here because Terry just turned Republican.
Let me jump in real
Hold
quick.
on, Tyrone.
Yes,
Hold
but
on,
go
Tyrone.
ahead.
I need Terry
Okay,
to
okay,
jump in, and then we'll get back to you.
okay.
So Patrick, I need you to come back, man. We can't see you.
I'm listening.
Correction, not just, but let's go ahead with the
Recently, not just recently. Words matter, buddy. He's a lawyer. He's going to sue you.
Defamation.
no lawsuits here, guys.
Defamation of character.
I
Use
do.
of internet as a lethal weapon.
Words of violence now, right?
Dude, I really hurt
All right, let him
Monica.
answer the question.
Okay, I disagree that I'm trying to be. I don't want to get worked up. I disagree that
Get worked up.
Republicans are racist. I do think that there are some very racist elements within the party. I do think that is dying out, and I can give a testament that, like for example, some of the most conservative thinkers that I know are all black folks, and in all but party affiliation, they believe in the same things that the larger Republican Party does. And with the Republicans that I have met, whether it be state, federal, and even local, in the different counties, they've all been very welcoming. Sort of, except for St. Mary's County, but but other than that, they've been very welcoming.
All right, Tyrone, I want you to jump in there.
I just wanted to ask Patrick. So you're indicting us, the 3 black conservatives, Republicans on this panel, saying that you don't understand how we could have that ideology, yet you are a Democrat, a party whose very legacy is oppression of people who look just like you.
You're talking about, sir, we can go back and we can look at history of both parties and see. And the Dixiecrats formed out of it. The Democrats.
And the Dixiecrat thing has been disproven. Strom Thurmond and a congressman whose name has been lost to history were the only 2 people that switched party affiliation in the Congress. There was no mass migration. I challenge you to find me any name other than Strom Thurmond in this phantom congressman who no one even remembers.
Well, I remember that LBJ, when he passed the Voting Rights Act, said that he just lost the South because of the Voting Rights Act.
He also said, "I'll have those niggers voting Democrat for the next 100 years."
And let me
ask. He did not say niggers. He said niggers. He said niggers.
He said that. And I'm glad you mentioned that act, because you know who was responsible for getting it through to his desk? Because remember, Strom Thurmond actually considered having a catheter inserted so that he could stand in the well and filibuster that bill. He settled on strapping his member to a tube and a tank so that he could filibuster the civil rights bill. He still holds the record as the longest filibuster in America.
While he was doing all that, he was
as a Democrat.
He was screwing his black maid, right?
He stood in the well of the Senate.
So let's get back to the point. Let's get back to the point.
Let's talk about the legislation.
So the point really is that how is being a Republican not in line with Jesus? But so far I've heard you call Republicans racist, which I just say by the very definition of the people sitting here that's not true. You said earlier in the show they want to cut food stamps. So I have an argument to be made, whether you believe in cutting entitlement programs or not. we never had generational welfare in this country. Like, we didn't have multiple generations of poor families the way we have them now till we introduced the entitlement system where you
Well,
have
was that
welfare.
before or after they took the black man out of the household, sir?
That's around the same time.
They didn't just ruin. To be fair, even if in
But who
America
took the
the
black? Hold
culture
on.
ruined
Let's
black.
go back.
Wait.
Let's go back.
I
Who
just
took the
want to.
black man out of the household?
Yes.
I mean, you're who took the black man out of the
The
household?
government did.
What
Hold on.
government?
Triggered.
The American government. Come
What
on.
Yeah, but
government?
they,
Run
okay,
by
so
who?
if the American
Are
government
you
ruined the
referring
black
to the-
families, just let me get this out because this drives me nuts about this conversation all the time. The American government equally ruined white, Hispanic, or Asian, whatever. Because if you look at what's going on now, we have boys walking around talking about girls. We're arguing whether men and women are allowed to compete against each other in the name of some sort of social justice. Which what is social justice if the concepts and ideas are continuously changing, that they have to be updated yearly for all these institutions that run these woke programs? We created a thing to label the level of awakened of corporations called the ESG. We can't even do business unless they meet these
I think
ever-changing
we're
standards.
going to the weeds.
So
We're going to the weeds.
I'm
What
just
government?
like,
In order to form a more perfect union, sir, this is a process. This is not something that is perfect, and we know that.
Right,
But I'd
absolutely.
like to
that
know
like
your,
being
I'd like to
Republican
know
is
your
anti the
comments
church.
with those people walking around with the tiki lamps saying the Jews will not replace us. What are your feelings about that? Who are those?
I
So
have
let's
very
go
strong
back.
feelings
Let's
about
go
that.
back to the question though. Like you said, the American government, American government. We talk about taking fathers out of the home.
Yes, sir.
The American government run by whom?
People like, I believe it was Moynihan who brought that plan into force.
No. That was the great.
Who was it?
Those policies came out of LBJ's Great Society program.
Yeah.
And Daniel Patrick Moynihan, 10 years later, not even 10 years, about 7 years later, wrote in his paper concerning the policy of benign neglect, which then started the unspoken policy of the government intentionally ignoring Black rights issues.
Okay.
Also a Democrat.
Okay.
At
Right.
that point he had become Undersecretary of Labor for Richard Nixon when he wrote that paper. But under both, I mean, he was a Democrat. He remained a Democrat, became a Democratic senator from New York, and preceded
No, I think
Hillary Clinton.
Massachusetts, isn't he?
I'm sorry, sir?
He's from Massachusetts, isn't he? Moynihan?
No, he's from New York.
He's a New Yorker? Okay.
Moynihan and D'Amato were the pair of the idiots when I was growing up.
Okay.
So I mean, I think this goes back to the top of the show, right? Like the song says, "Wake up," right? And a lot of this stuff. And look, I'm gonna put it out here. I was a Democrat for a long time, right? It wasn't until 2018 where I really started challenging my party affiliation, understood what it really meant to be Republican, what it meant to be Democrat. That's when I switched over, because now when I woke up, and I'm not talking about this fake woke people are doing today where you know the terms of the day, you know, you can explain what a gender is in ever-changing terms. I'm not talking about that kind of woke. I'm talking about looking at history, looking at who did what, looking at actual pieces of legislation and who passed what, and seeing what party passed what legislation and has been doing the same thing ever since. Look, the Democrat Party has been the same party since it was founded. The only thing they did was, instead of shackles on the feet, they put shackles on the mind.
And Patrick, listen, I will give you this. Now, the truth of the matter is the Republican Party was founded for one purpose, and that purpose was the abolition of slavery. However, since that occurred, I will give you this: they have lost their way, and I would like to drill down a little bit further and say that I am less concerned with party affiliation than I am with ideology. So I am a conservative first. Okay. A conservative first.
So I gotta get on what Tyrone said. So first of all, Oh man, now I lost my train of thought. Of course, the worst possible.
You were about to say how right I was, and
You
And
were. No, I was.
all those
good looking out there.
citations
What was the
behind
first point you just made? You made the point that triggered the thought.
Was talking about how the Republican Party was founded for one purpose, but since that purpose had been, you know, since it had been
Lost its
captured,
way and whatever. And it was a good
that
So-
they just lost their way after that.
So,
They-
Patrick, can you agree that the Democrats are the ones that took fathers out of the home?
Well, because of Moynihan and because of what Terry said, yes.
Okay. And what policy has reversed since then that Democrats have supported putting fathers back in the home?
That's a good question. I don't know where the turnabout came. So that was Nixon. Not to change the subject, but be honest with you guys, the only thing that I can ever remember that Republicans did was, and you'll probably disagree with that, was Nixon and affirmative action. Other than that, I can't think of anything the Republicans
just did judicial reform. Trump just did a whole judicial reform thing. First of all, that helps. I'm not saying it was great, but it was something that no one was willing to touch. And I remember what I wanted to say. There's no difference between the two parties. I'm always going to stand by that. Like, we sit there and we talk about party affiliation, and you said that it's your ideology, not party affiliation. But the truth is that within the Republican Party, you see it now. You have this America First division thing, ultra MAGA, or whatever you want to call it, where they're saying like that there's a breakaway part of the Republican Party that's crazy. And then what we call rhinos, is running, and the people who want political cover are all in this, status quo of the party, the old guard for a lot. So the fact that war exists inside the party shows that there's a whole segment of the party that believes the status quo is that the two parties just keep doing what they've been doing that got us here in the first place.
Yeah.
So and that's true to the Democrats too, because the Democrats, the progressives, are tearing away the Patrick Henderson wing of the party, and that they're calling dinos and stuff like that's a replication of our sort of efforts so that the fact that this war exists on both sides of the political spectrum is empirical proof that there's no two parties. It's a uniparty. That on Capitol Hill itself, it's one party doing business that keeps them all paid and in power. It's not about us. It's not about what Patrick Henderson believes. I'm sorry, I don't look, and it's not to knock what he said, but he used Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren's made more money being a civil servant than 100 people combined. Bernie Sanders, when he threw the primary for Hillary in 2016, got a beach house out of it. Like, these people are getting paid to do these things and say these things that everyone wants.
I would agree with that.
Tyrone, you had something?
Well, I just wanted to ask Patrick. I kind of look at the situation like this, okay? If you look at the Black community, we've had political power now for many decades. Could argue we've had political power since the 80s. I mean, real power, okay? Especially in the cities.
Right.
Yet we see all of our major cities, especially, the Democrat-ruled cities, declining. Baltimore, for example.
Yeah.
We're all familiar with.
Yeah.
1% of the population left Baltimore between 2020 and 2021. Took their taxes with them.
Right.
So I tend to believe that it's less about political power at this point and more about economic power. We're sitting up here talking about how Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, how they benefited economically. Well, I say if you can't beat them, join them. We need to understand how economic power works. Yeah. And then I think we will see more commonality between the Patrick Hendersons and the Tyrone Keyeses of the world when we look at it through that lens.
Now you're starting to talk about powernomics and what Dr. Claude Anderson has said, and getting in on both sides of the equation, but in order to find a solution.
Well, I agree with you. I think it is totally obnoxious the city council and mayor of Baltimore. I talked against them. All these jerks getting in there, they lie to get in there. And once they're in there, they do the complete opposite. They're only interested in their interest, in
That's
their
true.
best. And they screw the people of Baltimore left and right. And I bashed them weekly on my shows. Told people not to vote for these idiots. I live next door to Catherine Pugh. She's my neighbor. She lives 2 doors down from me. And she drove by one day when she first bought that house that she bought with the money from that book, that bad book. And I said to her, she stopped because my gardener was doing my lawn and she needed a gardener. And I said to her, I said, Miss Pugh, Mayor Pugh, why don't you find some money that we can put on these water fountains in these schools, put some filters on these water fountains in the schools, because the teachers are using water as punishment for when the kids act up. And a kid coming to me, I had a program, an after school program there. And they would come, Mr. Henderson, I'm thirsty. And she won't give me no cup. And I said, what did you do? Oh, I did something, but I'm thirsty, Minister. And I couldn't stand to hear a kid begging for water.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay. And I said to her, why can't you find some money just to put filters on these water fountains so these kids can get a drink of water when they want it? And she said, oh, that's not I don't have money for that. I don't have money for that. You go talk.
How much per student are they spending?
16,000.
So, like, I see, this is what I want to know. How do you ever vote for a Democrat? Purely from let me preface what I'm about to say with this statement. Purely from a buyer's remorse perspective. Mm-hmm. If I voted in Baltimore for Democrats for the last 21 years, you said you live here. So for the last 20 years, if I voted Democrat for the results Baltimore has given you, how can you still vote for them? Like, you would never buy a product from a vendor that sold you shit that the Baltimore politicians have sold to Baltimoreans. Like, why do you vote for them? Why are they your choice? Why are you not demanding better choices? Or why are you not voting Republican just to stick it to them at this point, just out of like angst?
I agree with you 100%. I don't understand it. And I talk about it all the time on my talk show. But it seems to be the same syndrome that the Trump supporters live under. The man is a complete jerk, a complete idiot.
So hold on. Let me pause right here, because Trump is only 4 years ago. I mean, 6 years ago, technically. Right? We're talking about policies and positions that have been happening in Baltimore City for the past 50, 60 years. Like, we're just using the Trump excuse because it came convenient over the past 6 years. So what's really the issue? Like, what's really going on?
You know what? This is really strange because we talked about this on my show Monday. Why is it that when these people get in trouble, then the black community starts feeling like they're attacking them because they're black? It's a malaise that is just beyond me. You're absolutely right.
I don't understand the question.
And you take Marilyn Mosby, and all of these people are saying she should be reelected. You know, black people that are saying she should be reelected. Well, her integrity is impugned. Her husband's integrity is impugned, was impugned before he became president of the city council. Okay? They knew he was a scoundrel. But people are coming to their defense because they're looking at it as they're trying to bring down black people instead of looking at the sins and the shortcomings of these people. So I don't understand it either. I talked about it on my show.
So who's the real racist then, right? If the only thing that matters in these particular situations is the color of your skin, not morals, not doing what's right and wrong, who's exemplifying more racism?
Black people can't be racist.
Why can't black people?
No. They don't have any power. No. Hold on. Let's back up. Who's showing more race? One person saying, hey, because we're black, you can do what you want to do. Who's exemplifying racism?
Well, then of course they are. Black people are doing it, but at the same time, they have no power. They have the power.
Hold on. Let's pause right there. Let's pause right there, Mr. Henderson.
Black people have made
Hold on, man. What power in Baltimore City does a black person not have?
Well,
the power to use their brains to elect smart
Yeah, but that
people.
has nothing to do with this. That's
Hold on, man.
That's people. That has nothing. Why is race an issue? Let's start with that. Why does it have to be? Why does it always have to be that it's about?
Well, because they're 60.
Or
Because they are the 65% of the population, sir. That's why in this case it's that way. Wouldn't you say?
65% of the population.
Black people
make up 65% of the population in America.
No,
in
Baltimore.
Oh no, they 100%. But that again, why is race important then? If every
I brought that up. I brought that up because he was mentioning that black people come to these politicians' defense.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's mostly black people that will defend people like Marilyn Mosby, and will come to their aid despite the fact of their sins. Right, the
they're compromised,
integrity issues, those type of things. So I brought up, I brought up who's showing, more racism, because the black population in Baltimore has this allegiance to people just because they're black.
I understand that, but I'm saying, like, why? Why does that exist? Why are we?
It's called tribal. It's tribalism.
Right. So what does that have to do? So this is my point. This is the point I'm trying to make. What does this have to do with an institutional level form of like systemic racism? If what we're saying comes down to tribalism, then it doesn't matter what type of government you have or what laws are in place or what systems are in place. People are going to be mean to each other based on simple things like their skin color, because that's the nature of how awful we can be. Yeah. Right. So like, why are we blaming? Why are we making it about? Why do we constantly have to bring it back to this argument? Why is it? Again, I'm not saying that there's a good answer. I'm just saying that like this, we're the inventors of our own demise with this, because we talk about we have to get past it, but then we always keep bringing it back up. Again, it's true for any unique group. This isn't limited to black people. Black people just have the biggest one because of slavery in this country. It's not like it's unjustified either. Again, it's just we always have this where we want to get past it, but we're going to spend eternity making it the issue. Like, you can't move forward. Like, this is why we are where we are as a society. We don't want to move forward. Every group just wants to fixate. If I was a trans person, all I would
hold on before you go to being trans, I want to get Terry in here because Terry's been quiet for a while.
Sorry, my bad.
There was an article in CNN, I think a couple of months, I want to say it came out maybe March, that said that black people black people it was 78, 73%, I don't know, 70-something % of black people consider race to be central to their identity. And it comes from, yes, I would say what I would consider a shared trauma and shared generational trauma that rooted in the institution of slavery, which Condoleezza Rice once said was America's original birth defect. Now, why should it matter in today's society is that when you have a city that is majority black, we control all the levers of power in this city.
Yes.
And we have not seemed to come together and hold our politicians accountable, yet we continue to come to the defense of a former insurance attorney and vote for her solely because she was the black candidate running against a white guy who was the chief prosecutor and was a successful one at that. I don't know why we make race such the central issue to our politics versus who can be the best and most effective at the job.
So we don't make race. It's just the lowest common denominator. Like it's the easiest thing to campaign on, right? Yes. The only thing that the politicians in Baltimore. Hold on. Let me finish. The only thing people in Baltimore have to campaign on is how much money you bring into a certain cause or an issue, and the fact that you're black. That's literally it. That's all you have to campaign on.
And I think that that's a very bad thing, because then you end up with a person like Brandon Scott, who he has lit Brandon Scott or Nick Mosby who, I mean, the only things that they can say is, I'm a black man. I mean, they're not like, for example, Bill Henry is somebody who's actually been doing some good work and trying to hold people accountable, et cetera, like that. But I don't know. It just really, it does bother me.
So what you do, and this is the part. This goes back to how can you be Christian and vote Democrat if you want. First off, the Bible says if you don't work, you don't eat, right? So if you believe that, you have to put some level of effort into everything you do, right? You have to put some self into it. You have to realize your God-given gifts, talents, all that stuff. But what the Baltimore Democrats have done is effectively said, you don't have to do anything. You can be dumb. The only thing you have to do is pull the lever for me every November, every July when we're voting now, or whenever, every April, every November. All you have to do is pull the lever for me, and I'm going to take care of you. Only thing you need to know about me is I was on stage with Prince, or I'm a son of Baltimore,
Yeah, so this
or
comes back
I
to my
called up
original
racism and the
question.
disparity, or I brought money
how
towards
can
this
you
issue.
still vote from a buyer's remorse perspective?
So Gimpy, you got to let me finish my statements
I'm
before you cut
sorry.
in, man.
I'm just like that's what it makes me feel like, though, is that how
Thank you.
how can you keep voting from forget politics, from buyer's remorse perspective? Like, education's worse, crime's worse, everything is substantially. I mean, forget about when they vote for black mayors. When they vote for white mayor Democrats, you get O'Malley's and stuff. It's not like they win either way. It's not
the
about
people
race.
the people that they're attracting or trying to bring out to the polls, the people are voting for fun. Oh, it's something to do. The politics don't matter. The positions don't matter. In Baltimore, all you have to do is be a recognized celebrity, and that's it. That's it.
They know your face. I agree with you. I wanted to say something just quickly. I had an after-school program, but I also tutored reading for reading partners. And the one thing I noticed about those black kids, if I gave them a book and they didn't see themselves in it, they were not interested in that book. And I brought it to the attention of the director there in the thing. I said, we need more black books in here because these kids are not interested in seeing white people in these pages. They love the poetry, but if it was poetry with black kids and they could see themselves, they identified with it. And I think that is in the DNA of our people. To a large degree, they want to see themselves in it. Like you said, they may have criteria to accompany it, but they want to see themselves. So I think
everything's black in Baltimore. Like I don't understand how you're not seeing yourself in Baltimore. Like everything, there's kids in Baltimore they ain't ever seen a white person.
What? Oh yeah, well I don't doubt that. I had kids that had never lived on the east side, that had never been on the west side. I took them across the 28th Street Bridge and they went, where are we? Never been across it in their lives. These were teenagers. And they're so absolutely, but so the sociology tells you that's not only tribalism, but it's communities too that do that. They become protectionists for where they live. But this is pretty fascinating. And let me see here, Terry. I would like to ask you all, if I may, name one thing that Republicans have ever done for this nation. Name me one thing.
Is that a real question?
Yes,
is that a real question?
Yes, I need to know. Help educate your brother here. Yes.
So all right, so all right, let's do it like this.
Besides slavery.
Hold on. Yeah. What do you mean besides slavery?
So the most recent thing, how about this? The most recent thing that Republicans did. How about this? The most recent thing.
Hold on. So this is Gimpy. This is what we're going to do. We're just going to go around the horn, and everybody can name one thing. And this is off the cuff. I don't know what's going to happen right now, but I don't understand why he said besides slavery, because that to me that. I don't know, but
okay.
Let's let that answer be Patrick's answer. So Patrick knows that Republicans are the ones that ended slavery. So who wants to go first?
I'll go.
First Step Act, 2018, signed by. So you asked for one thing. I just went ahead.
I'm sorry. I didn't understand what you said.
Oh, First Step Act. First Step Act. What it did was after you've served a certain amount of time within federal prisons and you've met a certain criteria, you can be released early.
school choice, that they are pro school choice. When you have education systems failing, when they throw money at it, claiming they don't have enough money, that parents get to walk away, that will encourage public education to be an infinitely better product than it is right now. So that's something they've done just this week.
School choice. So Tyrone.
All right, I alluded to it earlier, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Republicans, and I just wanted to be accurate here, the Republicans got that thing through the House 290 to 130, and through the Senate 73 to 27. So there's 5 things.
So that's 19. What year was that?
It was 1964.
Okay. Okay.
Name me one thing that Democrats have done to benefited the nation since the destruction of, the ending of slavery. I mean, like, this is, I think you have a harder time finding something the Democrats did.
Not at all. Not at all. 24-hour work week, child labor laws, 7 5-day work weeks. We can start there.
Those are all bipartisan stuff. All those things passed with massive bipartisan support. They're not uniquely Democrat policies.
Yeah, well, let's go back to the Social Security. They called it socialism, and then when FDR brought it back,
I mean, if you look at it now, it's imploding.
Hold on, Gippy. Let him finish. Let him finish the statement.
I mean, but like,
it doesn't matter that it's imploding, sir. The idea was that it came about because of a Democrat. That is the core discussion on the table.
No, that's fair. That's fair. But like,
so if something doesn't work, does that mean it's good?
No, if it's not working, that's what I said. We're in order to form a more perfect union.
Because
if it doesn't work,
just to let you know, Social Security is insolvent.
It's what?
Insolvent.
Yeah, right. Why? Because the Republicans took all the money out of it.
Just because this is the truth. Social Security is a great big Ponzi scheme. We pay into it, the 4 of us. Do you receive Social Security, Patrick?
I'm 73 years old. Yes, sir.
Okay, so that money that you are receiving was not money that you put away. You are receiving money based on the contributions of the 4 of us. That's how the system works.
Well,
that's unsustainable.
It is.
Yeah, you didn't save for Social Security.
My whole thing is on this is that like, we've sat here tonight and we've been a little rough. I'm not going to argue that we haven't been a little rough. We have been. But we've been able to show you demonstratively that, like, the talking points that the Democrats have just have no value. Like, you want to say that, like, you haven't been able to answer to us how voting for how you can call yourself a Democrat and a Christian. That's how it all started tonight. It's gotten as far as that, like, basic talking points of the Democrat Party just don't hold up to any critical analysis. So,
in your opinion, that doesn't happen. In your opinion, it does. In your opinion, they're talking about replace.
What do you mean? You just said that.
Yeah. Well, I still say even the 3 things that you guys mentioned: voting rights of 64, school choice, First Step Act. It doesn't affect everybody. It affects people. And the school choice thing, the reason they're doing that is the reason they did the school choice thing is because they want to send their kids to religious schools.
Yeah, but what's wrong with why should a parent not have the choice where we all pay tax money to get education? Why does it have to go to schools that are predominantly failing across the board where school choice is exercised the most? It's not like in these rich white collar neighborhoods like Columbia, they're pulling their kid out of Longfellow Elementary School to send them to St. Mary's or something.
Right.
They're pulling them out of Baltimore to do that. It's helping the people you claim are your wheelhouse of people.
Right. And Patrick, let me ask you this. And I deal with this often with the tax code. A lot of people will bitch and complain about, well, the tax code is written for rich people, and it is. However, it does not exclude. It doesn't. Nowhere in there does it say Patrick Henderson shall not take advantage of this particular aspect of the code. Okay.
I agree, Tyrone. I
So,
agree.
so to the extent that, you know, for whatever motives put school choice in place in a given jurisdiction,
Mhm.
why can't we just still take advantage of that?
Well, I don't. You know what? I read something the other day. I'm from I was born in Texas, but I lived in California. You remember Proposition 13
Yep.
in California, where
Yep.
at a certain age, your property taxes. At a certain age, you didn't have to pay property taxes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I said, I love that. I don't have any children, but I'm still paying hella property taxes here
Well,
for
did you
my
sign the
house.
petition?
Hell yeah.
You signed the property tax petition?
The what for Proposition 13?
No, the Renew Baltimore petition here in Baltimore. Did you sign that one?
No, I didn't even know about it.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna send it to you. I need you and at least 3 other people to sign it. So
I can get more people to sign it than you can imagine. Yes, sir.
all right, here we go. I'm gonna send it to you tonight.
All
And
right,
Patrick,
thank
one
you.
more thing before I forget. I just want to go back to something you had said earlier. You said that Black people cannot be racist because we have no power.
Right.
But earlier, you said that Jim Clyburn was responsible for Biden being elected. And when I tried to remember what you said, I tried to remember the name of the congressman. And here's an interesting thing. I typed into Google, it's still up on my screen, congressman who got Biden elected. And it's like a million results that include Jim Clyburn. So which one is it? Do we
It's Clyburn.
or don't we?
Remember, Biden was losing in all of the primaries. He was losing. And then when he got to the Carolinas, Clyburn came out and endorsed him. And that was the south of North Carolina. I don't remember which one. After that, then people started jumping back on Biden's bandwagon.
You are absolutely right. So I'm stipulating to you that apparently we have some kind of power.
Yeah.
Because he was responsible for taking a bum and getting him elected to president of the United States of America.
Yes, he
Why
did
do you
do
need
it.
power to be racist? I'm racist if I pick on someone solely based on their race. That's what makes me a racist.
Or if you have thoughts that,
why does the dynamic group have to be so that why is it so then the Chinese are the Chinese racist if they're mean to Japanese because the Chinese have sway over? Like I'm saying with that, it's not a very solid. It works really well.
Man, it's a progressive definition
argument.
that you have to
no
PhD to understand.
No,
is it just being racism? I pick on you because you're black?
No, sir. I am a sociology major, and the definition is that racists have to have power.
No, that's a recent definition.
Sir,
that's a recent definition. The power part was included probably within the last 10 years.
Yeah, let's be clear. When I learned sociology in the early 2000s, those definitions were different. And that was my point earlier is like, what is social justice if you're constantly changing, moving the goalposts in order to make your argument? This is the point tonight. Like you say, it's my opinion that I've tried to demonstrate the opposite side of your statements. But the fact is that the statements are only valid because you keep moving your goalposts on it. Like all of a sudden you're racist because it's power. No, I'm a racist because I picked on someone because of their race, period. If I'm black and I pick on someone because they're white, I'm a racist. If I'm Chinese and I pick on someone because they're black, that person's a racist. It's very simple. It's not a matter. My ability to rule over you just makes me a totalitarian.
If you have power of money, you have more money, and you can punish them because of their color or whatever. That is racism. That's what I'm talking about when I say power. And you can say it's not the definition.
Picking on someone because of their race is racism. Everything else is just variations of how one would accomplish it. Well, like, I'm sorry, the white hillbilly redneck that lives in Alabama in a trailer park has absolute zero power on the scale of the universe, yet they can be racist as fuck. Like, just so that it fits the definition that everyone will be in the room would be comfortable with. That's all I'm saying. It's just like...
So Melvin says there are plenty of black people with power. We can be racist, and you see it daily with people insulting Uber and Lyft drivers.
Sure.
Or how about the people who jump the counters in these fast food joints on video and start beating the hell out of the person behind the counter because of some racially charged misunderstanding nonsense? You know,
Right.
like where they think they're being insulted because of their race. Like that's
You
what I'm saying.
didn't put enough.
Why is everything about race? Maybe
You
they're insulting.
didn't put enough tomatoes on my McDLT, and that was obviously racist because you had the power to put more tomatoes on my McDLT.
I think that's where we're ending it right there. That's the best statement of the night right there.
Yeah.
All right, guys, this has been a spirited discussion. Some people say we're too nice. Some people say we're mean. But Patrick, we thank you for jumping in with us.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, this is just the guys, man. We hope to have you back, you know, sometime soon, man, because the debate and conversation is needed.
I think this is one of the best conversations I've had in a good time. I mean, thank you, Mr. Pat, for joining us.
Yeah, man.
Nice meeting you, Patrick.
It's nice to meet. It's nice to meet you all too. I'm gonna have to take an Advil to go to sleep because y'all got me wired up.
Well, how about this, man?
Thank you for the opportunity.
Let's do some while you're up, man. Just do some Google searching, man. You know,
that's what I'm getting ready to do. Some Google searching now.
Yeah, look at how many blacks were really influential into this country and for founding America. Look up the real history of the Republican Party. Look up the real history of the Democrat Party. And
man,
let me ask you this: why on the Democrats' website do they say they have 200 years of fighting for civil rights, but their first accomplishment is 100 years ago?
Because they were fucking racist dogs,
and they still are, buddy. Ain't nothing changed. There's nothing about them changed, buddy. You'll notice that they just used a different strategy.
He should look up one other thing. It hasn't been said once tonight, and I wouldn't feel right if we went a whole show without talking about it. Color communism and common sense.
Hold on. Color communism. Patrick, that actually should be your first go at it. It should be color communism and common sense.
Color
communism and common sense.
Oh, communism.
Manning Johnson.
And common sense. Okay.
Yep.
He was a former communist and I believe union organizer. And it might be very helpful reading to understand his viewpoint.
Okay, what is his name again?
Johnson.
Manning Johnson.
Manning Johnson?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a good read right there, buddy. All right, so let's get out of here, man.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Look, guys, this is Metro Conservative Media. We like to, we thank our special guests, but tonight you've been on with Logic, Gimpy, Terry, the BRT, Tyrone, Money Changes Everything. I'm sorry, Soldiers of Finance. Soldiers of Finance.
He went all mercenary.
Yep. Actually, make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that stuff, man. If you tell us what you think in the comments below. This is a great show. If you agree with Patrick, let us know. If you agree with some stuff Gimpy, Tyrone, Terry, or myself said, then let us know in the comments, man. But other than that, man, y'all have a great, great, great night.
All right, fellas. Have a good one.
Yeah. Thanks.
Peace.
Peace.